Entering a child's playroom, you find a giant overstuffed toy box resting against one wall, and in the middle of the room stands a dollhouse, which appears to be a perfect replica of the Marsden house. As you approach the dollhouse, you notice that the walls of the playroom are covered with shelves full of porcelain dolls, their eyes peering down at you. It's difficult to break their gaze. Their eyes seem to draw you into the blackness of their dead stares. Not looking away, you feel yourself shrinking smaller and smaller. Soon the dolls seem to loom over you, even more frightening than before, although they never move from their perches. Eventually, you're the size of a doll, yourself, and you stand on the playroom floor beside the replica of the Marsden house. From where you stand, you can see the front door of the dollhouse. Enter the dollhouse by going to story card 49. All right, everybody, welcome back to the Dungeon Dive, and welcome to a little look at the Choose Your Own Adventure board/card game for House of Danger, based on the book by, of course, R.A. Montgomery, the creator of Choose Your Own Adventure, and this game is from Prospero Hall and Z-Man Games. So this is a Choose Your Own Adventure game, and Choose Your Own Adventure book in the form of a card game / board game. And I'm really enjoying it. This is the perfect level of complexity for me right now, which on a scale of 1 to 10, it's probably a 0. There's not a lot to think about in terms of rules and strategy in this game. It is a small box game that you can get out and set up and play pretty quickly, with not a lot of time commitment and not a lot of just stuff overflowing on the table. So in my mental state that I'm in right now, as far as board games go, this is a perfect game, and I'm having a lot of fun with it. I'm a little ways into chapter 2. Now I believe there are 5 chapters, so you're going to get this large stack of cards. There's chapter 1 here that I went through, and then chapter 2 is here on the table, and then we have chapters 3 through chapters 5. And each chapter is going to have a goal. So for instance, chapter 2, my goal is to find the basement of the house, and as soon as I do that, I can progress to chapter 3. And basically these cards here represent pretty much the pages of a Choose Your Own Adventure book, and you're going to be reading the cards. The front of the card usually has like the main text, and then the back of the card will usually have some kind of artwork and then some kind of choice to make, or it might also have some kind of test you need to do where you're going to be rolling a d6 and comparing it to the number of your challenge level of your danger meter here, which my danger meter right now is at 4. So to pass any challenge, I need to get a 4 or higher on a d6. But I am also able to add bonuses based on my inventory cards and clue cards that I discover while I am playing the game. So for instance, if I found this sword here, and this sword adds a 2 to any of my fighting challenges that I might take. A knife adds 1 to fighting challenges. This large wooden dowel adds 2 to any strength challenges, and so on. So very simple and also very fun. It's a very nostalgic game for me. Of course, we've mentioned many times on this channel, our love and appreciation for Choose Your Own Adventure games. And I do think that this game, the transition to the tabletop, I think is done really well. I think it uses these clue cards. So each chapter, in addition to having a number of story cards, you're also going to have a deck of clue cards. And as you play through the story, you're going to be able to find these different clues. Some of these clues, of course, will be items. Some will be additional story choices that you will actually add to the card that might give you additional 1 or 2 things that you can do in that particular location. Some of them are one-off just clues that might raise a stat or raise one of your physical, your psychic level, might raise or lower your danger meter. So there is some pretty cool interaction between the clue cards and the story cards. The clue cards are sometimes also story cards, and I like that. I like that interaction. You know, I would slot this game into this kind of like growing subgenre of card / adventure game that's kind of like Escape the Dark Castle, or I guess soon also Escape the Dark Station, I believe the sci-fi version is called. And then also the Story Master's Tales, which I did a review for that, and I didn't really care for that game because I didn't really feel like there was a lot of interaction between the book and the cards. But I am getting a little bit of that feeling that there is some interaction between the components in this game that I am interested in. Now, one of the things about these kinds of like card-based story games is, you know, how much replay is there? Well, after completing chapter 1, there were actually quite a few clue cards that I never discovered. So these are some of the ones I discovered in chapter 1, a couple in maybe one in chapter 2. This knife is a starting item. And there were also probably about, out of 30 cards in chapter 1, there was about 10 or so, maybe 12 that I did not draw. So there is, there probably is at least 2 playthroughs of this game, maybe more, maybe 3. Kind of like I also did a review for the Adventure Discover the Story, the dungeon card-based adventure game that I really liked. And I would say that the replay value is similar to that game. You have one like really great playthrough and maybe another pretty good playthrough, and maybe if you stretch it, maybe a third playthrough before you have seen everything. And the game is relatively cheap, I remember. It's about $20, I think. So it's not a lot of money. It's not a big monetary investment. And so this is going to be a game that I would say that I'm going to finish up chapter 2. Then I'm going to stop playing and see if my wife wants to play through the game with me. If she does, we'll play through the game once. We'll play through the whole thing. And I think that would be a perfect game for us to play together and just have a fun time reading the story to each other and deciding what we're going to do. And then I would just pass this game on to somebody else. You know, but like, so we used to buy these books for a few dollars, you know, when I would spend a large portion of my like weekly allowance on a choose your own adventure book or something, and I would read it over and over again. So I would definitely get, you know, some replay value out of a book. And I think if you were a younger kid, maybe you could probably play this game over and over again and have a lot of fun with it. Or if you just really enjoy it. I think the writing is pretty good. I, of course, love the art. You're going to get a lot of really cool, just black and white art, like from the, you know, from the books. I don't have any of my original Choose Your Own Adventure books with me, or at all anymore, so I can't tell you if, you know, if the art is lifted straight out of the book. I want to say it is, because I feel like I either recognize the artist or the style, or something feels familiar to me from some of the art. But another aspect of the game is at the beginning of the game, you're going to take your game board. So the game board here, you have a level, a psychic scale that you're going to be moving up and down on. And as you go to certain levels, some of the cards might say if you are level 2 or higher, or if you're level 3 or something, you get to do something else. So I have not been able, after beating chapter 1, I have not been able to get past level 1. I made some bad choices. And so I have come across a couple cards that say, you know, if you're at level 2 or higher, you can do this. So I haven't been able to experience any of the benefits of being higher on the psychic scale yet. And then of course you're also going to have your danger meter, and this is going to tell you your challenge level when you're doing a challenge. But at the back of the card here, you're also going to have this picture, and you're told to study this picture for a couple of minutes before you play the game. And this is kind of like a psychic premonition you have as a psychic detective about the kind of things, the kind of important things that you're going to be coming across. And two of these images on the back I've already kind of stumbled across on my game, so that's kind of cool. You kind of have to think, oh, did I remember seeing that, and then make choices accordingly. But yeah, overall, I think this is a pretty fun game. It's been sitting on my shelf for a really long time, and I've been, kind of feeling the pull the last few days to get something out on the table and play a game, because I know it has been a while since I've done a video on games. But like I said in my last video, my head has just not been in the space for board games right now. But something simple like this, I think, is, just it hits the spot for me, and I think that could be true for a lot of people right now. If you're just kind of struggling through all the craziness going on in the world right now, and it is a little difficult to maybe to keep your mind focused on rules and components and all that kind of stuff. Maybe something a little more simple like this will hit the spot. And I can vouch for the writing. I think the writing is good. It's fun. There are, of course, the big complaint about the choose your own adventure and like the fighting fantasy game books are those dead end choices where you make a choice without not really having any clues or any way to decipher the outcome. You make a clue and you die. That does happen in this game. But just like you used to play when you were a kid, you'd keep your finger in the book so you could quickly flip back to where you were to make the other choice. This game tells you to, you just lose some psychic points, and then you go back to the card and you can choose the other options. So I don't really think there's a way to just flat out lose in this game. You are going to have probably a more fun experience if you make the better choices so you can get higher on the psychic scale. And that might actually be fun to try to do a perfect playthrough from memory or something like that. So that might be like a challenge mode where you can really try to game the game and get up higher on the psychic scale to experience those more advanced cards or something. One negative I do have is, and this is a super funny negative, but the cards are super dusty. Every time I pick up a deck of cards, they are littered with this dust on the side that just gets everywhere. And so my table is like completely dusty just from this one game. So yes, that is a negative. This game is dusty. And that is probably the worst thing I can say about it. So with that, I give this game my approval. It's super fun and nostalgic, especially if you have that nostalgia for the Choose Your Own Adventure books. I know I'm not very late to this game, but like I said, it has been sitting on my shelf for some time, and I am very happy to be playing it now. So yeah, if you're looking for a really easy adventure game, maybe something you can just play with your wife or a friend who's maybe not into board games, or your kids or something, I recommend this. It's fun, and it is a good way to escape into a nice little game. So all right guys, well, take it easy, and we will talk to you later. Bye bye.